So as we bring Megatron Week, Animated Megatron Week, to a close here, we previously looked at the Voyager-class Cybertronian mode, but I think the pièce de résistance that has to be addressed is the now classic Earth mode leader-class version of, you guessed it, Megatron. How fantastic is he? Let's find out in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share. Of course, subscribe. And while you're at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. Let you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for. All of that in the all of those links in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link and check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And this is the leader class Megatron. I remember seeing this in store and thinking, man, what a cool looking Megatron. And I love the kind of attack helicopter alt mode. And I always wondered just how good this actually is. And we're about to find out when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this lad. And from one Megatron to another Megatron by way of the Transformers Animated Leader Class Earth Mode version of Megatron this time. We previously looked at the Voyager Cybertronian mode. That thing scored tremendously well. How well is this guy going to score? Well, as you can see here, he's in a fairly dynamic pose, which is a good start. However, we should probably get this guy sort of straightened up so we can start giving him some scores. I will note now that he does come with a bio sheet, and this one basically explains how now that he has a new body, he is the ultimate intergalactic tyrant. I mean, yeah, that's a good way to describe Megatron. Oddly, Maximal 10 has 2 copies of this bio sheet for some reason. Megatron also comes with a fairly big sheet of instructions that I don't really think is necessary because it's not that hard of a transformation. And as for his other accessories, we'll talk about them right now. First things first, he comes with his fusion cannon. It comes on his left arm out of package, but I'm pretty sure it's meant for his right arm. It can go on either arm. It really kind of doesn't matter that much. I'll also note now that the guy has lights and sounds. I'm not a lights and sounds guy, so I don't have anything put inside of, like any batteries put inside of him. If we press on the chest, his chest button here, his mouth kind of opens and closes, and his like eyebrow sort of comes down. In robot mode, if I had anything put in there, he would say the lines, "Where is the Allspark? Crush the Autobots." And he'd have some glorious, like, bad guy laughter. I believe in helicopter mode, like if you press that same button, I think you get like some like spinning and like powering up sounds, or like helicopter sounds, right? I will also note that in Japan it's a little bit different. In robot mode, when you press it, he just says in Japanese, "I am Megatron," and then oddly, apparently in English, he says Megatron transform and fusion cannon. Strange, go figure. It's also worth noting that because this guy's a leader class offering, he has a little gap here and on either side of his head to accommodate the inclusion of the Headmaster, who came with Bulkhead. That said, it doesn't change any of, unlike Bulkhead, where it gives this guy a new line. Nothing changes anything for Megatron. There's no like Headmaster line or anything like that. It's just if you want to lock it in there and have the Headmaster control Megatron's body, you can do that. Okay, let's take this off. Couple of things to note here. He comes with 2, I'll call them rotor blades, that are able to be used as swords. If you don't want to use this as a sword, then you can take it out. And by the way, to be a rotor blade, it's just, you just turn one of the sword pieces up. But if you just want it hanging off of his back, you don't want to use it as a rotor blade, you can put that handle in, and then using this here, you slot the handle into it and leave it on his back. Cool, 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 cool. I'm also going to note, and I don't think that this is in the instructions, but you can actually turn this around. And you might say, GotBot, why are you turning that around? Because in the animation, and of course, like I'm an animation accurate guy, these red lines face his body, not out from his body. Speaking of the accuracy of the fusion cannon here, let's start giving this guy some scores, and let's begin, why don't we, with the look of the guy. Starting from the feet, working our way up. Yes, indeed, we should have red here and black on the toes. Are the ankles? I think the ankles are also black, but the ankles should be gray technically. Black here, the red on the shin, the red on the outside, all correct. The gray thighs, the black at the pelvis, the red over on the side of like his rib cage, I guess. The gray in the center and all across here. None of this red detail, which is all light piped light. None of that should be there. It should just be a gray chest. This red Decepticon logo should just be a purple Decepticon logo. So the chest here actually has more details. And these three translucent red lines here should be black. So the chest, definitely stylized a bit. When we go to the arms, we have all black hands as we should. We have gray on the arms as we should. We have red on the biceps. On the shoulders we do have the two red dots and the red at the top of the shoulder pylon. All gray other than that. The head being gray with the little black goatee and the eyebrows and whatnot. All of that is correct. Even this behind his head is basically correct. It's definitely close. Real close. Not perfect, but real good. And if you're thinking to yourself, hey, that chest and stuff would be a little more accurate on the Takara, it's not. It still has the same, I guess, stylization to allow for the light up gimmick to still kind of work, I guess. Actually, as I'm looking at the Takara one, guess what? I don't think that the Takara one has a proper Decepticon logo here either. Maybe I'm wrong about that. To be honest with you, I'm not sure because I've kind of seen both things. Anyway, I digress. For the look of this, it's pretty close. I'm going to say chest a little stylized. That's about it. I'm going to say 9.5. Then we get into the articulation for the guy. The head goes left and right. No real up and down. The mouth opens again because of the gimmick, right? The shoulder can, like, I guess technically go all the way around, but like, I'm not gonna lie, the wings here do kind of get in the way a little bit. We have a bicep rotation, we have a double elbow, we have a wrist swivel. We have anything at the waist? We do have a waist. It's gonna be hindered by this piece back here, but you know what? I think you're gonna get what you need out of it, and it's ratcheted. Arms, by the way, to go out to the side. Not as far as I would like. I wish that it could go out to the side a little bit more than that. Legs, here, let's get that arm up. Legs all the way out to the side. Leg way forward, way back, thigh swivel, 90-degree knee, ankle tilt, very deep ankle tilt actually, toe and heel. I mean, and I wish there was more clearance for his fusion cannon, honestly. It's a little bit of a nuisance. To really get the clearance that you want, you kind of got to gorilla elbow his arm. The only good thing about gorilla elbowing his arm is you can still, if you're okay with kind of losing that elbow, technically you can still rotate the hand. So it's not so bad. You can work around it, I guess, if you got to. I wish we didn't have to work around it. That's what I would say to that. Most of it is there. I do think the back kibble hinders a little bit of stuff. I think that not having a flap on the side here to allow full extension of the arm. I mean, something like, you know, Toy World's Hegemon here. Like, let's just move this guy over for a minute. Toy World's Hegemon here, though the shoulder doesn't move, you do have a flap here to allow the entire arm to go out. By the way, I think this guy's a great stand-in for Studio Series 86 Megatron. And I guess since we also have him here, here's the Voyager Cybertronian mode next to the leader class Earth mode. 9.5, the articulation, most of it's there. The stuff that isn't, or the range of motion that isn't is a little bit niggling and annoying, but you could see the dynamic pose I could get. He can pull a lot of stuff and he's stable. The ankle tilt really helps. I'm still gonna say 9.5. Honestly, I'm gonna say a 9.5 and a 9.5. By the way, I don't actually have the missile, or Maximal 10 doesn't have the missile that goes there. Doesn't have the missile for the Voyager here either, but they are both spring-loaded and they are both, I think, translucent plastic, and they would both be able to fire presumably fine. So, 9.5, 9.5, let's do the transformation, I suppose, which should be pretty easy, I believe. I won't lie, I kind of love the alt mode here. So we're going to take this off, and it just, basically we have these 3 notches on that side of the arm and on the inside of the arm. And I got news for you, guess what? We have notch tabs, I guess, here. And those notch tabs go into his arm. I kind of like this. Now, I think you can, also I've read that you can, I'm not going to do it here because it's not mine. You can, in helicopter mode, leave this attached and take this off. But to get it out of in here is pretty tight, and I don't want to mess with it because it's not mine. I don't think that it's intended to be that way anymore. I think that they changed it, right? Okay, so we got that out. We're going to begin by turning the hands so that the palms, say, are facing up, and we're going to open. Maybe I can start here first. Come on, there we go. Open that, put that in, close it up. Let's do this again. Open that, put that in, close it up. Okay, now we should be able to fold that up, and we should be able to fold that up. Both of these now folded up all the way. Fantastic. They're folded up all the way. We're going to bring them back, though it's not in the instructions to bring them back. Why would you bring the arms back? Because it makes the wings come down a little bit lower, and apparently that's something that you're supposed to do. We can open out one of these, and we can open out one of those, and we can even take the nose cone piece and bring it up and over and slot that in. That's the upper body done, really. You know what? I'm going to note something when we go to the finished helicopter mode about a landing gear that's not documented up top. That's really weird for some reason. Well, it's kind of documented up top, but it's really weird. Anyway, so now with all of that done, we can sort of lay our guy down thusly. I'm just going to readjust the camera a little bit and focus in on the lower body and the legs here. Just a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to close in the toe and heel and close in the toe and heel. We have to bring the side of the shin off, and you kind of have to untab it to do that. There you go. And then this comes out and rotates around. And we do the same on the other side where we pick off, and again, it's a bit of a nuisance to untab. We bring it out on the side, and after we got it out, we rotate it around. Great, wonderful. Now, this is where we could easily forget a couple of minor moves, but they make a big difference. First thing to note is that the legs back here, they can go together. Next thing to note is that we actually have, where is it? Yeah, we actually have a movement here that we have to do, actually 2 movements. One is all the way out on a hinge here, and then the other is all the way up, and that gives us a landing gear. Easy to forget to do those 2 movements. Double hinge right here, kind of at the knee. All the way out, and then flip that all the way up. Now, we can bring both of those up over and together, and we have what seems pretty good landing gear here. But what about the front? So, if you don't want to put the fusion cannon on, you can come up to the front, and there is a landing gear there as well. It doesn't, oh man, I was going to say, it does not particularly like to stay up that well, but it is there. Technically what you're supposed to do though is leave that in and then take the fusion cannon piece and put it up, and guess what? The cannon actually has wheels on it. And boom, in the end, here we have Megatron in his attack chopper mode. And boom, here we have the final assault helicopter mode. I love this. I think that this is an excellent mode for Megatron. Loved it in animated, thought it was completely different, but you know what? It was very versatile, and considering the Decepticons are most commonly made up of like planes and shuttles and like things that can fly, other than, you know, the Stunticons and, you know, the Predacons and whatnot. But traditionally, if we go back to season 1 of G1, the idea was that for the most part, not exclusively, but for the most part, Autobots were going to be more land-based, Decepticons were going to be more air-based, and I always thought, like, it's weird that their leader isn't an air-based vehicle, and then Animated came and done this, and I was like, you know what? Cool, cool. Now, I know Unicron Trilogy had a whole bunch of different alt modes as well, but this one harkens back to, like, the kind of the look, a lot of the nods of G1, and it's kind of more that iconic Megatron look that we know and love, at least to me. As such, I think the helicopter mode was a great, great fit. He was getting a 9.5. I think that the transformation is still fantastic. I'm going to say the transformation's a 10. You know what? The Voyager, for a Voyager, was about a 9.75. This guy, for a later class, is probably more like a 9.5. I think the Voyager is a little bit better, but I like the look, heft, and alt mode of this guy better. I don't know, 9.5, 9.75, somewhere in that glorious range. Later class animated Megatron is an absolute gem. And here we are once again, and here he is. So, first things first, pretty darn close to animation, though the chest is a little bit stylized. I love the head sculpt. I do think that there's a heck of a backpack here, and I could have done without the sword things personally, but that's just me. I like the heft, I like the size, and you know what? While the Voyager would pair nicely with the Deluxe Optimus, I think this guy would pair nicely with the Voyager Optimus. Before anybody asks, no, I have not reviewed the Legacy United animated Optimus. No, I don't know how it pairs with this. Do I think because we've had an update of that Optimus that we should have an update of this Megatron, maybe as a later class? Yes, I do agree. The articulation is mostly here. There's a waist here, and I don't know if I mentioned that in the review because it's a heavy, clicky waist. If I did, cool. If I didn't, then, and I criticize not having a waist, then I apologize. I find all the articulation is here, though the range of motion leaves a little something to be desired. And the head could have been a little bit more like the up and down, say, right? Minor gripes. I do find that the backpack, periodically, I know how the wings are supposed to go back, and as long as they're back, you get enough clearance here for the arm to go around, but they do like to push forward. I find the angle of the legs here very odd, and I kind of don't like the angle of the legs here, but it's the way it is, and it is that animated aesthetic. This guy works tremendously well. Subjectively, I think I actually like the Cybertronian mode Voyager a little bit better, but you know what? That is a success for what it's trying to accomplish. This is a success for what it's trying to accomplish. Adore the alt mode. Probably the only real biggest shame to me is the way that the fusion cannon attaches. Not because of how, you know, not because of how it attaches, but rather, in order to put it on the side of his arm, you got to make him gorilla armed on this side. And I get it. That's been the way it's been for many years, right up to, you know, Galvatron and Titan's Return. But I didn't like it then either. The use of translucent plastic, I don't really think there's much here at all other than the cockpit and some of the highlight here. I think it's used to nice effect, but overall, he feels hefty, robust, solid. Yeah, a lot here to like. One of my favorite Megatrons, by the way. What do you think of him? Do you prefer the Voyager? Do you prefer this guy? Is he not even an iteration of Megatron that you like? I don't know. Let me know what you think about Leader Class Earth Mode animated Megatron. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you're at it, hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel. And don't forget, not for a moment, not for a second, please and thank you, that you right there, somehow, some way, each and every single day, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old fashioned way right here inside the videos.